Welcome to TYT Sports. Ben Mankiewicz, Jason Rubin with you. Kam Chancellor, second game back for the Seattle Seahawks Monday night to conclude Week 4 of the NFL. Certainly proved his worth. Yeah. Punching the ball out of Calvin Johnson. The Lions.
There is no more Lions way to lose. Granted, you've been around a lot longer than I have. You've probably seen more ways the Lions have lost. But
the Lions are the Lions are here. Donald Trump would be correct here. The Lions are losers.
They're big, big dummies.
They're big losers. And then, of course, at the end, Chris Liss from RotoWire was here earlier. We shot a couple of segments with him, and he pointed out that if the punched ball call had been called correctly, and it would have been the correct call and should have been called. However, it would have been unjust since it was a pointless play, and KJ Wright could easily have just recovered the ball.
Yes.
And he did fumble.
Fine.
But the call made would have put the ball, the Lions would have gone half the distance to the goal. They already had a first down. They would have had first and goal from about the 8-inch line, right? Mm-hmm. The first play, they would have given the ball to Amir Abdullah, and he would have been stopped at about the 4.5-yard line. Obviously, it would have been a terrible play call. He would have given it to him 5 yards by the line of scrimmage. He would have been hit instantly by Michael Bennett. He would have fallen forward to the 4.5. And on the second play, Matt Stafford would have thrown an interception, probably on a tipped ball. So they would have lost anyway. There's no way the Lions would have scored that touchdown. The only way they were going to score was if Calvin Johnson didn't fumble and scored himself.
It didn't really matter to me because, and I don't normally take Ben Mankiewicz's gambling advice, but he said +10 on the Lions yesterday, take the +10. I didn't give a shit what would have happened at the end of that game. I knew that I was covering, and I was happy about that. But what the important part of this is, and the title of this clip, Ben, is, should Kam Chancellor be paid? Let's roll the clip of Michael Bennett crashing the post-game interview with Kam Chancellor.
Pay him! Pay him! Guys like this, man. 17 richest man in the world. We work hard together, man. Guys like that, we just a good unit together.
What 17th richest man in the world means, but I do understand. Pay him! Pay the man! His holdout, he was losing $267,000 a game, part of his holdout. His contract, which we pulled up the details before, been 4 years, $28 million.
He only had about a little over 7 guaranteed. Obviously, this is the second year he's already going to go past the guarantee because it's...
Yes, but the one thing I wanted to point out, because we're going to get into this debate of should you pay Kam Chancellor. There's some sides that say yes, there's some sides that say no. Ben's going to say that it's up to the Seattle Seahawks and their management or their owner, and at the same time, we have no say. But for debate's purposes, yes, you should absolutely pay the man. And there's a couple different angles to this. Will other players come forward and say, oh, you paid Kam Chancellor, now I want to renegotiate my deal? Possibly, but guess what? You're not the best player at your position in the game. Doug Baldwin makes $1 million more a year guaranteed. Doug Baldwin is not.
You weren't here when we had to fight about Doug Baldwin after the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, and I was bad-mouthing the Seahawks receivers about changes they needed to make the next year. And it's like, Doug Baldwin's one of the 5 best receivers in the NFL. You're an idiot.
That's you?
No, people were saying that to me. More than a few people, that I didn't understand how good Doug Baldwin was. Doug Baldwin is the definition of an average NFL receiver, and he's making more money than Kam Chancellor. But there's injustices like that all across the NFL. Depends on when you sign your contract.
Right, but so the other thing I was thinking about this with this, if they were to renegotiate his deal, if they were to give him a new deal, let's say they don't do anything, and they piss off Kam Chancellor, the Legion of Boom, which I do love that nickname for Sherman, Chancellor, KJ Wright. God, that team is stacked. Michael Bennett.
Corey Williams played incredibly well.
Yes, he did.
Corey yes, or Kerry?
Kerry Williams.
He also played well.
Kerry Williams. But make the man happy. He is undoubtedly a difference maker on that team. And you can say they're 0-2 without him, they're 2-0 with him. There's more to football than that, but you can clearly see no Kam Chancellor. He's a playmaker. They probably lose that game. I mean,
without Kam Chancellor, they'd almost certainly lose that game.
Exactly.
Scored.
Well, you don't know if the replacement level receiver makes it a ridiculous Malcolm Butler-esque moment and punches the ball out of someone. Malcolm Butler intercepted the ball. I know that, but
we're pretty sure that only Kam Chancellor makes that play.
Thank you. So again, you're 1-3. If he's not there, you're now 2-2. You basically salvage your season. You just talked.
They went from a 60% chance to that NBC had last night, or ESPN. They had a 60% chance to make the playoffs. Now they would have been at 35% to make the playoffs at 1-3, given their talent, who they're playing the rest of the way.
What the hell has this been?
It's a sketch of somebody's face.
Who is that?
That's the only guy. I only know how to draw guys with beards.
Can we get the Real quick, one shot. Is that me?
Yeah, that's you. That looks just
Is
like
that
you.
Rick?
It's just a
Curly-haired,
guy.
little Jewish nose there.
Yeah, maybe it's me. Come to think of it. Put some glasses on him.
You have more hair than that. Ben, can you? Why wouldn't they pay Kam Chancellor?
No, they wouldn't pay Kam Chancellor because then other people will do it. And because other people will hold out, named Michael Bennett, who was there, who might want him to get paid because then Michael Bennett can get paid.
Michael Bennett should get paid too.
Right, but there's a salary cap in the NFL.
That's true.
So there's and the structure of that cap is predicated on knowing costs going forward. So they've got Kam Chancellor penciled in there for what they have him at through the 2017 season. So this season, next season, and the one after. His leverage will probably come the year before his contract is up because they probably won't want him to be a free agent. They might be at that point having him be, I think, 28 years old, still a capable player at his position. They might not want to franchise him there. They might want to sign him to another deal. That's when the holdout would probably be most effective. Should Kam Chancellor hold out? Absolutely. I think he has every right in the world to hold out. The Seahawks, if he tore his ankle and they didn't think he'd come back, they just cut him and he wouldn't get the rest of his contract.
Yeah.
So he's every right to hold out, but it's probably not going to work. It'll work later. It'll work probably the year before his deal is due. But he knows that he could break his ankle and he's not going to get paid. And his earning capabilities are done as soon as his football career is over.
That's where I think where he wants to renegotiate specifically is the guaranteed money. When you look across the league, Patrick Peterson, Aqib Talib are in the 20s and 30s of millions of dollars. Guaranteed. Just guaranteed.
A guy like Chancellor could sign a deal now and get $25 million guaranteed and get a much bigger annual salary too. And, and at some point, there's going to be value in that for the Seahawks, assuming that they want to keep him and assuming they see value in paying the best safety in the league that much money. They may decide that's not where we want to spend, I'm going to make up numbers. That's not where we want to spend a 6 years, $65 million contract with $30 million guaranteed.
Especially with all of that defensive
on a safety.
prowess in
They
the
may
same
not
team.
want to do that, in which case they're like, so hold out. He could hold out for a while. Then at some point he was like, well, I'm losing too much money. He came back. I don't think they should, they cost him the game checks, obviously. They were going to try to get back some of the bonus money they gave him which he's already cashed checks for, which he's already paid taxes for, but there was talk that the Seahawks would try to recoup some of that. Yeah. My hunch is that's a bad idea, that what they want to do is keep him happy, and at some point, when it's valuable to them, they'll probably want to renegotiate that contract. That's a tremendous player. That is a difference-maker player. But there's no incentive for the Seahawks to do it now. His bet was that he could force their hand, and I think he realized he couldn't. But I don't blame him for doing it in any way, shape, or form. Football contracts are not like contracts in other sports. Now, if you're one of the guys, if you're Patrick Peterson and you got $30 million or whatever it is, $25 million
guaranteed.
Some $20 million guaranteed, then your holding out seems particularly obnoxious. I don't find it. I don't object to it at all. But I also understand the Seahawks not budging. They got a game plan and they can't deviate from it just because one guy wants to renegotiate in the middle of his deal.
Of all teams, the Mariners should be looking into Kam Chancellor. Subscribe, comment. Should the Seahawks? I'm not paying him. I don't think Ben's paying him either. Should the Seahawks pay Kam Chancellor his money?
Well, by the way, not now. Now he's playing.
Obviously. Why pay him? You can pay him, renegotiate, discuss it. What if he goes back to holding out?
My hunch
decides week 12 must-win game.
They'll fine him a little bit, and then he'll sign assuming he stays healthy, and God willing he will. Then after the 2016 season, before his last year, he will probably sign a gigantic deal to remain in Seattle.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, everybody.